Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to the week 1 video edition. I had some questions about how to make the text, look a little better when you're deciphering it, whenever you have that, jumbled up letters and you bring it out to what it's originally the plain text, what it's supposed to be. It comes out as one string. People are asking me how to add spaces into that and just make it look much better, much easier to read. Unfortunately, there is not a way to make it put the spaces back where it originally was in the plain text at the beginning. So I'm going to show you guys on this week 1 video toolkit on the REPL.it. This should be linked in the Discord. If not, I will put it there after this video. I'm going to show you what is often used to make the text look more readable when you are enciphering or deciphering, what that output should look like to make it a little bit better. So basically, it's called like a text block, right? You're just cutting up the text into different blocks. And that way it's much easier to read. If you have a long string of characters with no spaces, it's kind of hard and easy to mix up while you're reading, versus if you have them into little chunks going along the way. So for example, if we have our first try without any text blocks, we can just say, what I learned in boating school is, you can read it, but as it gets longer, you see some things are a little bit harder to read, especially with these short, 2-letter words, 1-letter words. But what you could do is with the text block, what I learned, and basically you just have this going through, and it'll do this, right? And so now it's a little bit with longer text, especially with ciphertext, it's a lot easier to manage, to look at, especially if once we get to other types of ciphers. You want to know how to do this. So we have here our ciphertext of cryptography. If you look at this right here, this FUBSWRJUD, it gets very hard, especially when you have a longer statement like cryptography is my favorite subject. I love to program it in Python for YTAC. Once you get that, just look at that massive, it gets longer and longer, especially when you're sending whole messages like paragraphs. So to make it a little bit easier, I'm gonna show you guys the text block function, which you will just use whenever you print your enciphered text, and you can also do it for your deciphered text and then piece it together from there. Unfortunately, if you guys have noticed, when you decipher something that has spaces in it, special characters like commas or periods, it will just come out as a single file line like this. So, you can read it, but it's not the easiest. That one does take a little bit of just, common sense and actually finding the reading of it, though. But what we will do here is make a short little text grouping, the text block. And I'm going to make the function here. I'm going to use define feature. We're just going to call it text block. Our first variable will be the text. Then we're going to say our second one is n. N will be how many characters you want it to be blocked by. So if you want in groups of 4, groups of 5, groups of 6 letters, just however many you want will be represented by this n. Put the colon, and then we're going to say the length equals len. That's a function that just means the length. It will take the amount of characters in the message and return it as an integer. And then after this, this is where we're going to put all of the letters. And I'm just going to call it like the basket, because I like to think of it as a basket. You're starting off, you have an empty basket. As you put more bunches of letters in there, and you dump them in the basket. And then once you finish your message, your basket is full. You can call it whatever you like. Just for this arbitrary unused variable and the rest of this, I'm going to use basket. And next we're going to have a for loop. Most of this class will use for loops rather than while loops, but a lot of these you can use a for loop or a while loop instead of a for. We're going to say for b in range, and we can say 0 to length. And then we're also going to use n. If you look here, start, stop, step. Start is 0, stop is length, step is n. What you can actually do, we'll just leave that there, but if you don't have a step and you have another for loop, we'll just make this down here. So if you had for x in range 20, this would basically just be from the range of the stop starting at 0, but that is just a little shorthand notation for you. Anyway, going on with this for loop, we're going to take our basket and we're going to plus equal. We're going to add basket plus this other item and then equal the basket to that. Message, we're going to use square brackets here, b colon b plus n. Finish that off, and then what we're going to do is add a space. So I have a quotation mark with just a space in the middle, and then that's it for this line. The rest of this loop, what we're going to do is return that basket. Let me explain what this code does. So basically, our basket here is defined as this empty set. We're going to take our message. This is saying from point B in the alphabet, of the character list in the M, so in the message. So starting at 0, this would be from 0 to 0 plus 5 if we had our n equals 5. Once it gets to that 0 to 0 plus 5, it'll add a space. And then it'll just keep going along, and it will eventually get to the end of the message, which is where we have the length coming in. So if we want to show what this would look like, we can say print text block, parentheses, we're going to have our text. We'll just say something that would take a couple blocks. We'll say technology is the future, something a little fun like that. But actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove these spaces because they will screw it up. After we have our block mount, we're going to say 5. If we run that, oh, I see I did. I accidentally switched the words text and message. If we try that again, we can see it is split into groups of 5. 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, 5 here, and then the leftover will just be set over. So how does this come into play? Well, you can, just like we had the text clean function going inside the encipher, inside the print, you can now add the text block into that. So what we will do is we will add that text block parentheses going all the way out to this parenthesis, and then we will say comma 5, close that text block, close that print. So I need to actually have this. We'll just move this stuff down below that definition, and you can see it is now in order. This is now a lot easier to read, especially when we have something that's very long. Cryptography is decrypting long messages. If you have something like that, you can see it's much easier to take that in, especially as we get farther into the class, and then we'll have different methods. Having this text block function is very useful. As we go through this course, I will be updating a document that I will call the toolkit, which will basically have all of the functions that we've learned so far. So the toolkit up to this point will have the clean text, the Caesar and cipher, the text block. After this week, we'll put the Caesar decipher in there. We're just going to go through that, and it should be much easier for you guys to keep up, especially by the end of this, you'll have a nice little portfolio of all the stuff we've done. Friendly reminder for this stuff here with all these things inside this print message, it's very easy to get them mixed up, but you want to basically take it in steps and think about what you want to do. The first thing we want to do to this sentence is we want to clean it. Once we've cleaned it, we want to encrypt it. Once we've encrypted it, we want to add the spaces and blocks for it. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. Thank you guys for joining in. If you have your submissions for this week, go ahead and send them to me. You have until the next class on a Thursday to get these all turned in. Good luck.